Oh, 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 whoa! Welcome back, everybody. ODC here, and walking around the house. We got Jason Voorhees mask. We got stuff all over. What was that noise? Or what was that noise? Anyway, I don't know why I keep doing that wake up thing, but it's funny. Walking upstairs, I thought I would discuss today. Sorry for the shit lighting. Let me see if I can. I'm going all the way up. I'm going all the way up, bro. There we go. That's better. Going up into the attic today, and I thought I would discuss. Got a low ceiling here. Oh shit. There we go. Got the AC pumping. I got toys everywhere. G.I. Joes everywhere. Sorry, this is like bad angling. But more G.I. Joe shit over here. Hello. But today I thought we would do something fun and different. Well, not really different, but you know, kind of same old shit, but a little bit different. And I thought I would discuss my top 10. Yeah, we're going to do a top 10 again. I know, how original, right? I thought we would do, I'm making a space for myself here, because it's kind of cluttered. I'm going to be honest with you. Look at this. Kind of got some Marvel display going on there. Got, I don't know what you guys are looking at right now because I can't see, but got a nice little display. We've got some Asgardians in there. Just a bunch of my favorite characters. We got a couple customs in there. Two. Got that custom Quasar right there. I don't know what you guys are looking at. There we go. But just a quick little shot so you guys can take a look. Got a little Spider-Man display. Let me make sure you guys are looking. Let me see if I can flip this around. For some reason it doesn't let me, doesn't give me options to flip anything. Nope, doesn't. Anyway, there's a quick Spider-Man display. You guys can pause that. Whoa, I am way... But there you go. Anyway, I thought I would discuss, if I can get this propped up properly. Let's move this, the Ghost Hawk. And we'll set that up like there. And is that too... Oh, there's too much light in the back. Alright, we'll set that up like that. Nah. I know, I know. Alright. We will set... What's going on? You alright? God bless you. You okay? Oh, okay. Alright, maybe we could do... Nothing to put anything down on. Put it on me. Put it down on... Oh, there we go. I'll do this. Move that. Do that. And then we'll do... This isn't going to work. There we go. Is that better? There we go. That's a little better. Sorry, I got hands everywhere. A stupid window in the back. This isn't working. I should put something there and do it this way. That's what I'll do. Come here, Sideshow Collectibles, you dickhole. Big old dickhole. You're the dickhole. No, I'm not the dickhole. You're the dickhole. Tickle, tickle, tickle. Tickle, tickle. Alright, we'll do it this way. Ha! There we go. That's better, right? There we go. I'll back that ass up. There we go. Alright. Okay. So today, we are going to do... What are we going to do, Or? What are we doing? Just going to stand in front of the camera? All right, back up a little bit. Go lay down over there. Come on. Go on. Come on. Be a good boy. Go over there. Go on. Go on. Or just lie down there. Lie down. Lie down. Be a good boy. There you go. All right, so Oreo's going to be our assistant today. Okay? He's going to hang out with us. And I'm going to discuss my top, I'm not even going to say top 10. I'm just going to say my favorite Marvel Legends X-Men action figures. And I thought, I just kind of want to keep creating content, whether it's, the most basic, top favorite figures or whatever, is fine with me. That's fine. I just want to be able to keep creating content, having fun, and I'm actually having fun. I want to get back into the flow of doing this more and more often for you guys, and I know I haven't been very reliable as far as content creating, so I want to get back to doing that. And by the way, I shaved. Anyway, okay, so here we go. And I'm only going to do X-Men, because God knows I love the X-Men. Then maybe the next video I'll do... I know my brain goes a mile a minute. Maybe the next video I'll do like my favorite customs that I own, that I've acquired over the years. Right, bud? Does that sound like a good idea? Okay. Alright, favorite X-Men action figures. Now, I'm not going to put a limit on this because there are quite a few. And it's kind of tough to figure that out. I will exclude customs. We're going to do that. We're going to stick with that theme. We're going to stick with customs on their own video, like I just said. And I'm just going off of my shelf here. Oh boy. And I don't know if I'm going to necessarily put these in order. I'm just going to kind of take a look here and grab things. And they have to be Marvel Legends only. So that's the theme here. I will go, oh boy. Might throw in a Marvel Select. Might have to do that. But as far as this goes, now if I can't choose the Select version, actually I might. Oh, see, I'm going back to my word already. All right, I'll screw it. I'm going to put Marvel Select in there too. But I really like this guy, and I really like this guy. All right. Oh, you almost saw it. All right. My first two favorite X-Men figures, and Oreo's very intrigued with this one that I have in my hand. He's sniffing it. He is inspecting it. Is that okay? Does that get the approval? All right, good. All right, so first one is the Marvel Select Juggernaut. This Juggernaut action figure, he's got a little bit of... Oreo's still figuring him out. What is his thing? This is the baby? Is this your baby? Good boy. Marvel Select Juggernaut, this is a very special action figure to me. I really feel like this is an action figure that's kind of ahead of its time. You can actually balance this heavy beast of a figure on one leg and get him into a running pose, and that's a really big coup, especially for Juggernaut. But I will also include the Marvel Legends action figure, because while I still think if I have to choose between the two, I'm going to go with the Select all day, I still think that this is a well-done figure also. So, whether you have this or this, if you were to choose one... Oreo, here, let me take your collar off so you're not jingling all over the place. There you go. Alright. I would say if you have to choose between the two, I think this guy still goes for around $20. And this guy's going to be... Hey, whoa, back up. Back that. Here, go get it. I still think that he is the better deal, because you're going to have to spend a lot more money to pick up the this Build-A-Figure. Usually Build-A-Figures stick around anywhere from $40 to around the $100 range, depending on how rare the wave was. Like the Jubilee wave. Jubilee, I think, goes for around anywhere from $100 to $200, which is crazy because it's just a regular figure. He's a little bit on the larger side. I would say he's probably around the same size as Rhino, where, as you can see, the Marvel Select going heel to heel here is larger. He's bulkier, Overall, just looks, I think, more like when I picture Juggernaut in my head, I picture a guy this size, and his head does rotate, and his arms rotate, and they go up and down, and swivel at the bicep. He does have single jointed elbows, which also does the Marvel Legends version, but no wrist swivel. But I really feel like the way he's posed, or the way his wrists are posed, you don't really need a wrist swivel with him. He also has a diaphragm joint. It doesn't really crunch forward and back like you want it to, but it does do its job. It does pivot side to side, so you can pivot, have him in a running pose like this, and then have his move his legs properly, and then get him into said running pose the way you need it to. The face sculpt underneath is very well done. I really like what they did with that. He does have thigh swivels, and I think he might have, this might be the one drawback. Yeah, he does have wide jointed hips, so you'll kind of have to work with this inner thigh joint to get that to where you need it to be. That's, I think, the biggest drawback with this, but this is also an older figure. I want to say this is about maybe going on 4 years old now. And I think he still goes for around 20 bucks. I'm pretty sure, I don't know, last time I checked, which was kind of a while ago, he was still going for around the $20 price point. But he does have ankle swivels, and I think he does have a little bit of a pivot to his foot. Just a little, yeah, he does. As you can see, it's kind of like a sliding pivot. It's not your typical Marvel Legends pivot. Where this guy, he runs a little bit smaller, probably, like I said, a little bit more expensive, but you'll get that easy range of motion that you're used to with Marvel Legends. His belt is a little bit loose here, but overall, I still really like this figure. I think whether you get either one, you'll be happy. I know a lot of people do prefer the Select over the Legends just because of the size, the bulk, the articulation's pretty much almost on point with both. Besides a couple things, like this is an older figure, but this is newer, so I mean there's drawbacks here and there, but I love this figure. He's like my small child. Just cradle him and anyway, okay. So there's Juggernaut. He is definitely one of my favorites, and this is gonna be a long video because I always have a lot to say about my X-Men action figures. So next we'll go with some of these figures I still have packed away, like my Marvel Select Sabretooth, which I think is still the go-to Sabretooth, even over the new Apocalypse one, which actually doesn't look too bad. It's definitely an improvement over this, but I don't have my Select, so I can't really, I don't know where he is. He's probably packed away somewhere. So I can't put him in there. So next we'll go straight to, and I still think that this is a great version for this character, and it's really the only version as far as 6-inch goes. It's Mr. Sinister. I really love this figure. The overall tones for him, and this is a Toy Biz Mr. Sinister, so he does have the hand articulation, figure articulation, individual. I like the shades of blues. I really like the paint shading. That's something really that the Marvel Legends, current Marvel Legends from Hasbro is really missing. We get weird paint shading. Like sometimes we'll get really good paint shading on one figure, and then the next figure will have no paint shading at all. It's just very inconsistent sometimes with Hasbro. But overall, I really like the sculpt of this guy. I still think that this is like the Mr. Sinister to have. So if you need one, you still got to go get the Toy Biz one because he's still the best in my opinion. And I just don't know if Hasbro were to come out with this, if they could actually, if they could beat this one. I feel like he's the right size. He looks menacing. This collar is epic. The cape, it's actually kind of like a rubbery plastic that's loose and dangles. I love this. This is just absolutely fantastic. This is an example of what good things Toy Biz did back in the day. Now they did some bad things, like Oh God, where do I even have any Toy Biz figures out? So I mean, we just talk about like a lot of the older Toy Biz figures that kind of looked like ape-like when they weren't supposed to, or they would have like really short arms that would kind of just hang out, like kind of like Wonder Man. Wonder Man had that weird like arm sticking out to here and wouldn't go further than this down. He had that problem. At least mine did. But I really like this Mr. Sinister. Go pick them up if you haven't. I'm not really sure the price points on those. If I was doing this on my computer, I'd be able to look up prices for you guys. But yeah, so there we go with that. So we got Mr. Sinister, Juggernauts. Next, oh, you guys are gonna hate me for this. You're gonna hate me for this. But I really do like this version of it. I don't really care for the character, but as far as the way he looks comic book accurate. It's the version that I kind of remember as a child. So when I think of this, I think of this is the version I would prefer over the version that we have now. But it's the 90s Deadpool that was just out in the Deadpool wave. And he only came with the 2 swords. I believe he was 2 per case. I think you can probably get them for around $15 now, I want to say. And yeah, I really like this version of Deadpool. And this is without the hood droop, which he did not have in the near his debut and his singles run. And as you can see, the big difference between the two. This is a much darker red, which for some reason people prefer a darker red over this nice, vibrant, 90s looking bright red. I don't really prefer darker colors. I prefer lighter colors, you know? It looks good. It's supposed to stand out, so... And I think this does stand out. And this also reminds me of the old Toy Biz, I want to say 4-inch X-Men line Deadpool. That's what this one reminds me of, when he came with the sculpted knife in his hand that was retractable, and the 2 swords on his back. And that's pretty much all I think he came with. He might have came with a gun, which is, I think, the only thing that he's missing is one of those kind of like 90s futuristic guns that he used to have. Still on the search for one of those, but yeah, so this is Deadpool, and he's actually on my list. Even though I don't really care for the character, I like that figure. Even though he's also very simplistic as far as his design goes. Okay, up next, we will do, I'm looking at all my people here. Next we'll do, like I said, these aren't really necessarily in order. I'm just kind of looking at them, grabbing them, and, you know, maybe down the line I'll do like a top 10. But these are just like kind of my top favorite X-Men figures. And it's Shatterstar. I know you saw him at the bottom of the thing there. But it is Shatterstar. Yet again, another character that really I was introduced in the 90s comics and in the Toy Biz 4-inch X-Men line. And I remember just loving this character's design. And then when I was reading more and more about him, I decided to myself, you know, this is a really cool character. I really like this guy. I want to read more. And I really love that 90s X-Force run. So whenever I think of X-Force, I immediately think of Cable, and I think of Shatterstar. Those are like the two that pop in my head immediately, as far as what I think X-Force's team would, at least if there were 2 members in there, it would consist of these 2. But I love the design. Hasbro knocked this one right out of the park. This is definitely a 10 out of 10 right here. As far as his range of motion goes, his articulation, the overall look, I mean, I don't really think there's a whole lot reused here. I don't even think that, maybe these gloves are reused from Captain America, but still, when I grab Cap over here, I almost want to think that the gloves are different. And I think they are. As far as the gloves go, they look similar, but I feel like Shatterstars are a little bit different, maybe. Maybe I'm just going crazy. I want to say that they're different. Yeah, because there's no seam here. Shatterstar has kind of like a seam on his, where Cap does not have a seam on his. If that'll focus. Let's see if that'll focus. There we go. But anyway, if you couldn't see it, there's supposed to be a seam on his glove, and there is not. So Shatterstar, he's the next one. And if you haven't picked him up, I think he goes for around anywhere from 15 to 20 bucks. Pretty normal there. All right, up next we have. Let's get some females in there. We're gonna go with. Oh yeah. We gotta go with Rogue. Another really well done Hasbro action figure. As far as we're finally getting it. I can't talk. We're finally getting her, and I was like, oh my god, I have to have this. We've been waiting so long for these 90s figures to come out, and we're finally getting them on a regular basis, which is good. It's very good. I would say the majority of the Apocalypse wave is 90s X-Men, which I'm extremely happy about. Even, Apocalypse, pretty much 90s-esque. But this Rogue figure she's beautifully done. I love the face sculpt. The hair's done perfectly. The jacket is done so well. And, like I said, when I think of Rogue, I think of this. I don't think of the Mohawk from the 80s with the white and the green. And I don't think of the modern one with the white and the green and the X-Men symbols and her boobs sticking out. This is the one I think of because this has always been Rogue to me. Yeah, everything's just so well done on her. The only thing I think I might have improved is the belt. It kind of gets jiggly, but that's a nitpick, not a big deal at all. The other thing I would have improved on was gluing these, but I kind of understand why they didn't glue these, because they would have had to glue them to the knee, and to have this knee articulated, they kind of had to keep them loose. So I actually don't mind that they're loose. They don't really bother me too much. Like when they get a little droopy, I just kind of push this down a little bit, and then it's all fine. So not a big deal at all. Sorry if Oreo's knocking the camera over there. But Rogue is the next one. Okay, now who's next? Probably should have brought Wolverine up, huh? Yeah, I should have. He's downstairs with all the other Wolverines. But I will just say this: the brown and tan has always been my favorite look for Wolverine. So I'll say Hasbro's brown and tan Wolverine. He's on there too. Okay, next we're gonna go back to. You know what? We're gonna grab this lady right here. We're doing a double down on the ladies. And here she is. She's kind of in a funny pose because I had her propped up on someone's shoulders. I wonder who that could have been. But this is Kitty Pryde. This still, to date, I should say, not today, to date, is my favorite Marvel Legends face sculpt for a female. I think it just looks very natural. It's very well done. The eyes aren't weird and googly. It's just one of the prettiest face sculpts I've ever seen for a Marvel Legends female character. So, there she is in all of her glory, Kitty Pryde. And she goes really cheap. I mean, I love this look for her. I love the design. She even came with Lockhide, or Lockheed, Lockhide, whatever. She came with him. And she was a part of the Juggernaut Build-A-Figure wave. And just beautifully done. I love the way she's just set up. I love the ponytail. It's just well done. This is another, like, I would say 10 out of 10 as far as she goes. She is a little bit on the taller side, but I don't mind it. I think it looks really good. She's got great shape for her body. And, yeah, just go get her. If you haven't gotten her, go get her. like I said, she goes for, I think I picked her up regular retail, but I've seen her go for around anywhere from 12 to 20 bucks. So, all right, next up, and this one is like a serious favorite of mine. Probably might be in my top 10 as far as X-Men action figures go. I think that no matter what Hasbro does, they'll never be able to achieve this type of perfection as far as articulation, range of motion, overall look, feel, and just nailing a character. It is a Marvel Select, and I don't even think Toy Biz didn't even come close to touching this. His overall stature, the way he looks, I mean, it looks and feels like, whether it's 80s or 90s Colossus, or, you know, the arcade game from the 90s. This is what I think of Colossus. You know, when you think of Colossus, you think of this version of him. From head to toe, the articulation on him is fantastic. He's got double jointed knees. He's got single jointed elbows, but they get really good range of motion, so you don't have to worry about that. All of the lines on him are sculpted. Even the knuckles here are sculpted in. The legs are sculpted. He is just a beautiful action figure. And I believe when I shot the review for this, you can remove this upper piece, and it will expose the underneath metal right there. The problem with that is that you'll still have this sculpting right here, so it kind of looks a little weird if you want him going shirtless or whatever. But I love this figure, and I remember in the review I was very high on this figure when I took him out of package, and extremely excited that he still goes for reasonable prices. I would say even if you pay 30 bucks for this figure, you're still getting a great quality action figure at a good price. And yeah, I would definitely recommend this figure to anybody. So, and you can't have one without the other. Here, I'll just pose them the way they were. Kind of. She was kind of just sitting on his shoulders like this, with his arm up, holding her. Couldn't help it. Anyway, it also saves a lot of space. Next up, we will go with... Gotta go with the Hasbro cable. And now, not to say that there's really anything wrong with the Marvel Select cable. I mean, he's big and he's bulky and he looks angry, and that face. Like, this is a beautifully done action figure. I do have some gripes with this figure. I would say that, not being able to get the arms go down and the arms being a little bit short on the short side kind of bugged me. But, like I said, those are small nitpicks. The holsters do look a little bit large, but it is to fit his guns in his holsters. Other than that, I really love this figure too. But I don't know what it is. This is like comic book looking Cable to me. I just can't help it, but just want to just stare at this figure all the time. The only problem that he has is that he does have some loose stuff on him, but nothing you can't glue down. Like, I haven't even gotten around a chance to just gluing this down. It does move a little bit, but not too much. He's got really good articulation, great range of motion. I love his gun that actually pegs onto his back, and Hasbro was smart enough just to put the peg hole in there and not have this sticking out with a peg, so it doesn't look awkward. There's just a peg on his back, and you just plug it right in, which is great. And this looks like Cable. So I think whether you like this more or whether you like this more, it's a win-win situation. Pick your poison. Alright, up next, I gotta pee. Oh my god, I gotta pee. Up next, I will go with this gentleman. He is still, I think, the go-to. And I'm surprised that we haven't gotten an updated version of him yet from Hasbro. But it's Toy Biz Gambit. I mean, how can you beat this? His look, the cloth coat, which we will not get from Hasbro. Which actually, if Hasbro does end up coming out with one, and it does put this to shame, I'm just going to use this coat on the Hasbro version and ditch that plastic crap. Throw that out. But the coat, he did come with a staff, some throwing cards, and I think he came with a Sentinel display base. I think this wasn't part of the Build-A-Figure one. But overall, I love the look and the feel of this figure. He can pose really well. He's very flexible, which he needs to be. And yeah, Toy Biz really nailed this figure. It's one of those X-Men figures or one of those figures in general where this was kind of where they could show you where they would shine Toy Biz. This is one of the ways they showed you. So I'm really pleased with this figure still today, and he's still my favorite Gambit figure. Alright, up next... Oh, I gotta bring him in here. I have to bring you in here. Oh, wait, you're holding somebody up. Oh boy. I didn't know you were holding somebody up. Can I get him out? Oh, I got him. Okay. Alright, next up, and this is a Build-A-Figure, another one. It is the Build-A-Figure Warlock from the New Mutants. I'm a big New Mutants fan. I love the original team. I actually have the original team sitting right there. If you want to check out that review, you can. You can go into my archives and check that out. But thank you to Stevie D Customs for making me that team, by the way. He hooked me up, and he's a great customizer. You guys should check him out if you're interested in doing a custom. But this is the Build-A-Figure Warlock action figure. He did come with extra hands. He came with like a saw, I think, and something else. I can't remember. But I definitely have to get around to gluing these pegs into the peg holes, because they don't like to stay in. That's kind of the only drawback to this figure. And once you move the arm, the peg comes right out. So I almost feel like if I glue this in, I might put too much stress on this tentacle piece here, or tubing piece, and then it'll snap off. So he's a little bit limited. If you want these to be plugged in all the time, he's a little bit limited in range of motion because you can only go so far. I would almost suggest just leaving these unhooked. This way you can get full range of motion like this. So. And it will look a little weird, but not the biggest deal in the world. Overall, I was surprised that we even got this as a Build-A-Figure. I would think that this was further on the totem pole as far as Build-A-Figures go. But I was really pleased that we were getting it. And I'm like, yes, please, more New Mutants, please. Where is Magik? I don't know why we haven't gotten Magik yet. A proper X-Men version of Magik. Where is she? Why wasn't she in this wave? I don't know. But he's a really good one. Definitely go pick him up. Whether you want to pick up that whole wave, which I think is a pretty solid wave, or if you just want to pick up the Build-A-Figure, I would suggest either or. So there is Warlock. Up next, what do we have next? As far as we're getting down to the nitty-gritty here, I don't want to do too many more because I don't want to go on too long. I'm looking for... I don't have any Wolverines up here. Everything is downstairs. No more over there. Just making sure. Just making sure. Everybody. Alright. Alright, up next. Oh, this is tough. Up next, we will do 3 more. That's it. We're doing 3 more. I don't know if you guys can see what I'm doing. I am, you guys. Alright, up next, we are going to go with Archangel. And to me, personally, I think they need to re-release this. This is a character that's probably a must-get for most, and you know, I think this came out, I want to say 2013 or 14. I'm not 100% sure on that, so don't quote me. But this is an older figure that we haven't seen a lot of. I think he was only featured in his 90s attire like he is here. In that, what wave was that? Oh god, this is so old I can't remember. It was Hitmonkey or Puck. It's one of the two. I don't remember. But anyway, or it might have been an X-Men. I can't remember. Anyway, he was featured in only one wave, and then he was also featured in the X-Force box set, but he also had a different paint deco. Also, paint deco was a little bit shinier for the wings here. As you can see, this is kind of just like a plasticky gray. That's it. But the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive 3-pack, X-Force 3-pack, had this like kind of like metallic, kind of chrome-esque looking paint, which was pretty cool. But this is definitely a really awesome figure. He is on the Bucky Cap body mold, and these wings just kind of plug right into his back. But they look great. I love how massive they are. They sit well. They actually help him stand, so the weight distribution isn't off as far as throwing the balance of the figure off. You can pose him. I don't have any loose ankle syndrome with him or anything like that over time. And hopefully they re-release this guy. Hopefully in some sort of box set. Maybe they do like a... after they start releasing more and more of the 90s X-Men, they'll re-release maybe like a, I don't know, Age of Apocalypse box set with, I don't know, Cyclops, Archangel, Beast, a few other characters. But I love this figure. He's perfect. Looks great. So, all right, up next, last two. We are down to the final two, man. I'm going to go with one of my favorite characters of all time. Actually, the last two are two of my favorite characters. How fitting, right? But this is another one that I don't know if Hasbro or Marvel Select can really one-up this. I mean, I'll wait to see, but it's going to be tough. It's the Toy Biz Marvel Legends Beast action figure. You can get this guy to handstand. You can pretty much get this guy to pose any way you want. Now, a lot of people, the gripes that I have heard about this Beast is that, oh yeah, he's so cool, he's got even an articulated jaw, but when you close the jaw, you know, it kind of looks like he's angry still, and I'm like, well, I don't really mind that. I prefer Beast to look kind of pissed off, and that's fine with me. But the major gripe that I've heard with people is that the hip joints, it's like, oh man, the hip joints are so wonky, and look at that gapping. I don't care. It's a toy, and it's an older toy. Look at everything else that this figure does well, which is being able to stand on one arm, being able to stand on one leg if you need him to, being able to crouch the way Beast crouches, or sit the way Beast sits. The only gripe that I've ever really had with this figure is the neck joint. The neck joint does stand a little bit tall, and it kind of sticks out, and there's not any sculpting in there, which does throw the look of the figure off, but overall the neck joint does what it needs to do. You can swivel it. He does have a hinge joint right here. He can't really do any head tilts, but that's okay. He does have an articulated jaw, single joint elbows, but they're really good range of motion. I mean, look at that. You can't even get some double jointed elbows that get that kind of range of motion, especially with the amount of sculpting for his bicep. That's a rarity. I don't have any problems with loose joints on him. I really do have been taking care of him. This was actually, I think, one of the first Marvel Legends I ever bought was Beast, and I think Punisher, and a couple others, I want to say. I think it was Wave 1 Captain America, or Series 1 Captain America. But I mean, this figure really has everything that you need in a Beast figure. So it's going to be really difficult, I think, for Toy Biz to step up on this. And I'm really actually excited and intrigued to see the comparison between the Marvel Select version and this version down the line. I believe that Marvel Select Beast is coming out in September, August or September. So I'm really excited for that. So there's Beast. I know, Oreo, you're bored. Good boy. Alright, next and finally. Now there's a couple of these. There are a couple of these. Where is he? Come here. Where is it? Where'd it go? There it is. Okay. There are actually a few of these. I don't have the other ones, but I'll just talk about them. Right, Or? That's right. And I will even throw this guy in there, just for aesthetics. But it's Marvel Legends Cyclops, and I know that this is kind of a basic figure. Really, it's this 90s Cyclops. And Oreo agrees. Do you agree? Yes, he does. It's really the 90s Cyclops. This is actually the Cyclops I grew up with. This Cyclops. But this is really, when I think of Cyclops, I'm like, oh yeah, it's got to be the hair's out. This is the leader of the X-Men right here. Whenever I think of leaders, I think of Cyclops as an example. Yeah, so I mean, I pretty much like all the Cyclops figures that have been released. I don't really have any issues with them. This guy had probably the most issues out of any Cyclops figure ever released. But really, I would say out of this box set, he had the least issues. I didn't have any paint issues as far as any paint gapping issues where there was paint, like blue paint right here. I didn't have that issue at all with him, or any paint splotches like the others did. But yeah, I really like this still. These look like, these are his classic colors from the 60s. And I know this is based on the all-new X-Men, but still, this is as close we're going to get to the classic colors as far as that goes, or the classic look. So I was pleased to get this. I was also still pleased, even though he's very hindered, I was also pretty pleased with this Beast. And I always wanted a non-blue Beast, and I'm happy to have it. So we still haven't gotten a proper Iceman, I feel like. Like, we got this Iceman in the box set, which is kind of like, he's like emaciated and needs to eat a cheeseburger or something. I don't know what's going on with that. And then we have like the older one, which I still use in my X-Men display because I didn't like that modern one that came out with the, where, I think he's over there somewhere. We still got this guy, but I mean, like, you could see, and he had serious breakage issues on his shoulder joints because these butterfly joints were very weak due to kind of like the translucent paint, or I should say translucent body. He's also way too skinny. I mean, look how skinny that is compared to this guy. He's like, this is kind of normal. Look at that. That is just crazy. So, while he still does sit in my display, I'm still waiting for a proper Iceman action figure. But let me see if I can get that other Iceman over here. Alright. This is the one that a lot of people do use still. And I just don't like it. It's like every Iceman figure that comes out, there's like major issues with it. Like, he is still way too gummy. I mean, I'm not feeling this. Like, his whole leg is, ugh, I don't like it. And even his arms are like super gummy. It's not working for me. And like, I can feel his hips getting looser and looser right every time I use him more and more. And he looks a little bit too modern for me. I'm just not feeling this look. I would prefer, like, we get something updated like this as opposed to this modern stuff. I'm not feeling the modern X-Men stuff to me. Like I said, update this on a, I don't care whether you put him on a Bucky Cat body mold or if you put him on a Spider-Man body. Don't care. Just update this guy right here. But going back to Cyclops here, I really do like this X-Men, what was it, Dark Phoenix box set. I did only end up picking him up, which I'm kind of regretting now. I should have probably picked up that Dark Phoenix because she does look really good. I like all the face sculpts on there, even though there is one reused face sculpt. But he's really well done. I love the paint apps on him. The paint shading, giving him that kind of like that older, like late 70s or early 80s Cyclops look, or 80s in general look for him. And then we've got our 90s, and we've got our 60s, and we even have our modern ones with the, what was it, I want to say AVX. We have that. Oh no, we don't have AVX. We don't have that. We have the one where he has the X for the, I didn't really care for that look. But anyway, I digress. These are my two favorite as far as Cyclops goes. But they just nailed this. I did end up gluing these down, and I did end up gluing these down, so they sit properly. They don't move anymore. And yeah, so I think that's pretty much it. Those are my favorite X-Men figures, and I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope I didn't go on too long. I know my brain, I get an idea every 2 seconds, and I tend to want to go with that. You can kind of see where if I don't use editing software, you can kind of see how my brain works as far as my ADD and ADHD goes. Yeah, so that was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun doing that. I want to continue to do these almost live videos, even though they're recorded. But it feels live because there's no editing and it's kind of one shot and go. Maybe next what I'll do is my favorite G.I. Joe vehicles. I think that would be something really fitting. Maybe actually what I'll do is for Cobra Month, I'll do my favorite Cobra vehicles, and we'll do a top 10 Cobra vehicles next, because I haven't been doing a whole lot of G.I. Joe content, and it is something I'm very passionate about, as I just showed you. More than 90, I want to say about 90% of this room is G.I. Joe related, except for Marvel Legends. I mean, this whole half of the room is all G.I. Joe. And there's the Terradrome over there. Then we got more stuff over here. We got tanks, and we got the Thunderclap, Rolling Thunder, which I got a box on, which I need to take off. But yeah, so maybe we'll do that. We got Man-Thing hanging out there. What's up, Man-Thing? How you doing, buddy? We got Oreo playing with his minion. There's the killer whale over there. I don't know if you guys can see it. I got some choppers, other stuff. So yeah, like I said, I want to give you guys as much content as possible, and I want to make as much content as possible. So next video, I promise you, for at least the next 2 videos, I'll do my next, my favorite Marvel customs that I had made. That'll be probably the next video, and then I'll save the Cobra stuff for July, and we'll do my top 10 favorite Cobra vehicles, or playsets. Oreo says goodbye. He's handing me the minion. Go get it. There he goes. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. If you liked it, great. Give me a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, go ahead and give me a thumbs down. But let me know why. I need that constructive criticism as to how I can improve my content more. And I promise you guys, I'll have more reviews coming out as soon as my computer gets fixed. I'm using my tablet right now. Say goodbye, Oreo. That's him saying goodbye. Okay. Adios, muchachos, and I'll see you guys on the flip side.